Hello and welcome to Expat News. Because honestly, who amongst us feels our government represents ourselves? Like, aren't we expats in our own countries? Yeah, I know. My name is Leah Gillis and I'm a journalist. I've been one my entire career. I know. Um, I started out in New York, living la rêve, the dream. Um, I started at the local Fox affiliate, was there for a year because I got into news to make the world a better place. And we're not doing that. And it was very murder, 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 rape, rape, rape. Not a lot of thought. I thought I'm going to go to the network, and that's where it'll just be talking about world issues and like making a difference on a global scale. And that's what I'm here to do. Got to NBC Network News and was there for 5 years before I quit. And I quit because I wasn't happy. Wasn't happy with the work, wasn't happy with the environment, and frankly, the goal of being a journalist was to highlight issues and make the world better, and that wasn't what was happening. Now, I know, like that's so lofty. It's like, but it can happen. It does happen. It's just by the time I got to network news at the end of the 90s, that was not the score. So, this first episode, I'm going to explain a little bit about myself so you know who I am. And you can follow my Instagram, which is the iNews. And I'm also on TikTok at Leah Cappuccino. And my website, which is The Diamond Is You. There's a section in there for the iNews. Now, over my career as a journalist, I have been led to basically question our world deeper. I was very into philosophy. I studied semiotics at like early high school. Deeper meaning and understanding why things happening is kind of my modus. And for me, that has led to a spiritual journey. It has led me to learn another language, France, move around the world, start studying other wisdoms like Kabbalah, astrology, yoga, different practices that connect us to ourselves, our joy, our purpose, and community, and making the world a better place. So while I am and always will be a hard news journalist, a friend suggested I call myself the spiritual journalist. And really, I feel like entering spirit and soul and consciousness and mercy into journalism is very much necessary. I think that's probably another reason why ultimately the whole environment of patriarchy, blame, top-down management, you do this, you do that, he did this, it's not the vibe. It's not serving us. It's not allowing us to make the changes we need in our world, in our governments, business, personal lives, and it's not helping, which I think all of us at the base we all want to do, right? People become doctors to heal. They get mired in paperwork. I can't tell you the number of doctors I know that are just either want to quit or verge of quitting because of all the other things. As if taking care of an ill person wasn't enough, right? As if trying to solve the emotional problems that are underneath the physical is not enough. So in the time too, I've also become a Reiki healer. So I appreciate how everybody is really doing their best. And we need to start doing things different and better. And so having spent time overseas, the Expat Files just sort of came to me as, yeah, that's what it is. Because obviously if people are overseas, it's easier to see the separation from a country and what's going on. But honestly, people in the countries that they're living in feel the same way. So whether it's friends in the UK, friends that are in Australia, obviously people that are in France and Italy, this is English language though, so obviously everybody's welcome because the goal is, and again, we're all dealing with the same things. That's the other thing. It's this notion of, borders are arbitrary. They're not real. It's not like a real thing, like a mountain or you and me. Borders, countries, it's all made up. Doesn't mean it's not important. It doesn't have value. But what are we clinging to when we say they're from over there and we're from over? It's just like, are you kidding me? You want people over there to not have food or housing? Like, no. And that's the thing too. Most people don't want that. There's always going to be an errant, small fraction of the population that are just, no bueno, that are cruel and unkind. But that's not most people, right? The problems we're having and we're seeing that we've always had as humans is it's not working, right? Our systems of government, our systems of business, our systems of trade, of economics, they're not serving the masses everywhere. Social media has been absolutely incredible. And in my career, I have seen it, when I started, there was the web, but it wasn't what it is today, right? And there wasn't social media. And so I have seen a wonderful explosion because of technology. We see the same stuff happening everywhere. I mean, even though we can't really see North Korea or for a lot of China, but that's all changing. And we're seeing it's the same issues everywhere, whether it's greed, whether it's cruelty, whether it's unkindness, harshness, illness. It's the same issues everywhere in varying degrees, but America, women are being put in prison for natural body functions. In France, they enshrined it in their constitution that women have a right to do what they need to do with their body. These are the kinds of things that we're seeing. And so we're realizing, oh, well, if they do it, we can do it. Oh, if they have this, we can have that. Hi, holidays in Europe, all around the world. South America, it's a different consciousness about working and living. And the more Americans are starting to see it, they're realizing, wait a second, if farmers and people producing goods in Europe and other places are living well and able to have vacations and vacation homes, right? Why can't I? Exactly. Hence the X-Files. The Expat Files. Because it's a bit of the X-Files because, I didn't mean X, but it could be. I mean X as in, what are we breaking up with? Right? As we look at issues, the main goal here is how do we talk about the problems in our world so we can solve them better? Case in point, the name blame game. Now, having worked at NBC News, I did a lot of stories, legal stories, covered a lot of things. And when you're sitting in courtrooms and you're seeing, it's like we all just accept that justice is not fair in our system in America. Like, nobody thinks it is. It's a problem, right? It's a problem. It's a problem, obviously, that people are put on death row, that people are executed, that people go to prison, it's a flawed system, but we can make changes. Instead of this whole, it's too big, it's like, no, it's not. It just requires effort and care. The most common thing I ask here, and I wrote an article about what it's like to be an American abroad now, because since Trump came into office the last time, it was no bueno. It was bad. And the most common thing people said to me is, why are Americans not taking to the streets? Why aren't you guys acting up? Why aren't you guys speaking up? Why aren't you protesting? That's our voice, right? This is the country of, do you hear the people sing? We're not singing. We're not moving. We're Netflix and chilling while rights are getting taken away, norms are being eroded, Muslim bans were happening. Like, what? Most people were outraged. Most people thought it was terrible. And yet, now we're having another degree of it. Now, one of the things that I got into over these years was obviously astrology, as I have the Diamond Is You site, because, all those things link with what's going on in our society right now. I don't understand why. I don't understand why gravity either, but it works. So let's use it. Why are we relying on certain systems and not others? Why aren't we looking into astronomy, astrology? Why did these things that were studied at Oxford and at universities around the 1700s, they stopped? Why was, after these revolutions, why did fraternité come in France? Where was the women, right? There were a lot of themes happening around the world at different times, and not just trying to understand them, but trying to change them. So here at Expat News, the idea is we feel estranged from our homeland, even in the homeland. We feel estranged from our neighbors where we are. And the goal is to talk about things in a way that is not blaming, not making it worse. We have to live together with officials and people we don't like. How do we build bridges, right? There are vested interests in the systems because those people are at the top, whether it's they have a lot of money, they have a lot of things. How do we change that? How do we peacefully bring about, I think of the French word Gore, like big changes that are going to serve everybody? Because being in a country where it's like constantly reminded of the revolution, it has an effect, you know? I'd like us to get there in peace. I'd like us to be able to make changes where people go, okay, maybe I won't have all this wealth, which is ill-gotten gains, and I'm going to share, right? Proactively. It's not looking like that's happening, but hopefully with more protests, more civil, action, like we're seeing in Serbia with the students that for 5 months now have been protesting and protesting, like we saw in South Korea with protests and change in leadership. Big civil action with love, with heart, with unity brings change peacefully. And it benefits everybody. That's the thing. We can change our system from a punitive, you did this, you did that, to one of love and friendship. I get it might sound idealistic, but it's possible. It's possible because we see news stories where horrible things are done to people and horrible things happen to people, and they can not only forgive the person, but they can feel for them. These are the news stories for us to talk about kindness and mercy, about rehabilitation, about making lasting change in a soul and in a person and in their path. That benefits us all. And that's ultimately what we want. It's just, we've gotten on this track. And so Expat News is here to highlight issues. Now, on Instagram, I'll be having a lot of stories. I have a lot of stories every day and pieces there. I'll be doing this weekly show to highlight issues. And on this day, which is May Day, which is a day that is ushering in the summer, that is a time to celebrate and be together, whether it's celebrating the earth and the harvests and the food that we're going to enjoy and that we will eventually store for the winter, taking the consciousness and changing what we focus on so that we can get back to what matters, which is food, unity, joy, love, peace. Hello, partying, good times, poetry, art, music. We can live a life where that's the emphasis. In Europe, one of the things that shocked me 8 years ago when I came here was on the midsummer, they have something called Fête de la Musique, where all over France and all over Europe, but I'm talking specifically about France, bands play on the street all night. Everybody's out and partying, and it's like a 24-hour festival honoring the day of the year with so much sunlight and joy and fun. Yes, please. Let's all do that. That's a beautiful thing. That's a nice cultural moment. Nice to have a society where it's safer to be out at night, safer to be amongst. Yeah, let's have that. Being in France, you go to generally a public restroom at a park. It smells nice. It's clean. People attend to them. In America, if you have to use a public restroom when you're at the Santa Monica, strolling on the beach, it's like disgusting. It's for homeless. It's people scoff their nose at having to do that. Since when are our shared public spaces not beautiful, not honored? Since when is it thought that if you have to use a public facility or a public item, you're a loser? I mean, that mentality is just so dark. And it is changing and it is going away. And we're seeing the last vestiges of, no, we like this, but it's so gross. And thank God for the younger generation. And it's all changing. How can we usher it in and the old ways out in a more loving environment and with more cohesive conversations? Because honestly, with all the various types of ways that people are now ingesting information and looking at their sources, it'd be nice to have some places where we can come and have a safe space. That's the idea of this. That's the idea of Expat News. It's where we're going to talk about hard things with love and heart and mercy, because that is what we need. I hope you join me. I'm going to try to keep these short so that you can, listen to them as you're getting ready, as you're doing things, because life is busy. Please send me ideas, stories, topics, news items. Always tag me over on Instagram, where I am all the time. But let me know what you want to talk about and what you're seeing and what you're hearing, because that's the point. Like, there is so much more good. There's so many wonderful conversations people are having. Let's put that on blast. Let's talk en masse about the positive changes, the unity, all these social movements that are going on. That is the vibe. Today in France and around, it's Fête du Travail, the holiday of work, where nobody works. And what are we working for? What are we building? We have some good ideas. America is a great idea. It's a great PR. It's time to put it into action. Does having a country with federal and state that are totally different work next to each other? I mean, we see no, right? We see no. And yet, nobody's made a change. And the universe, the world, it's getting us there. It's like, guys, this is not sustainable, because it's not. So let's make those positive changes together. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Expat News. Be so well.